Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Here we are, game number 2 between Todd and Last Shadow. Last game, we did see Last Shadow, unfortunately, set very far behind, trying some early game shenanigans, to which Todd was able to scout out and deny, and then trying to go for a quick third expansion as well. And again, Todd scouted that out and denied that. So Last Shadow severely behind. That big engagement came, and there's really nothing Last Shadow could do. Todd was just able to blow right by him. His army size was just much larger than what Last Shadow had. Last Shadow had the right idea and trying to do some damage. He just unfortunately got caught right in the middle with his pants down. So here we are, yes, game number 2 between Last Shadow and Todd. Certainly going to be excited once more. This is from the recent MLG event. I haven't seen any of these games, just commentating them like always. I try not to pre-screen. I remember like a week and a half ago I didn't pre-screen a game and it was just awful. But I guess it's primarily because in the game there was someone who I had never heard of. So just goes to show you, commentate games which you recognize the players. Good job, Force. So yes, once more, game number 2. Certainly looking forward to this. Let's keep an eye on both Todd and Last Shadow to see what they decide to do in the early game. And again, we saw Last Shadow with some early game aggression, so we'll be interested to see if he tries to do something in that same vein this game as well. We can see right now, starting off with that Rax at the front of his base. Certainly a very interesting map, just taking a quick look around it. We can see the main base not that large. Natural, of course, right outside that main, and this looks to be a little bit open. There is actually just this small choke point, but there is some air harass distance that could happen in this position. For example, something like Void Ray play, although not likely to see that. Doesn't seem like the most probable thing. Overall, this map is relatively small, mirrored as are all Blizzard maps. And moving straight across right now, we do see Todd engaging with that SCV, getting that one free shot off, bringing it down 5 HP. And then we move forward to engage with this SCV as well. I expect him to be able to pull back to the resource line. He's actually turning around to engage, interestingly enough, and then we'll be retreating. Second SCV will move down to engage the probe here as well, and getting a little bit of repair there. So again, Last Shadow having to repair early game. We saw this actually take place last game after his failed open. We do have that Marine just about to pop out, but the probe getting out just in the right time, and the Marine gets a few shots off. Doesn't matter, probe will make it safely back home. Back over here for Todd. Here we go, second gas getting placed down before the Cybernex score gets dropped. Certainly a telling sign in this fact that he could go one of two routes here. He could obviously tech up pretty hard, or he has the option of going for something like a 3-gate expand. Sitting Sentry Heavy, 3-gate expand, certainly a very popular build, and I am loving these Xel'Nagas. Look at those mini gateway Xel'Naga towers. That is just absolutely phenomenal, most certainly. Back over here for Last Shadow, what does he have going on? One refinery is up. He has got a Marauder coming on through. That one Marine is up. Here comes a second and third barracks, so we will be seeing a 3 racks here from Last Shadow. That is a little bit risky in all honesty. This is a normal sized ramp here, and what I mean by that is that one force field will deny a push, so that's obviously a concern with that one entrance into the main base, and being able to get a force field down and completely deny that could be a bit of a problem. We can see Todd opening up with that Stalker and then getting a Sentry. And here is a 4th rack. So Last Shadow will be playing super aggressive early on. He's got that Stimpak research coming on through. Didn't get Concussive Shell, but either way, he will be moving across the map, walking right by that waterfall, and then moving straight on towards Todd's base. If nothing else, I expect him to try to get a bit of map control. We can see right now moving forward towards his Xel'Naga tower. Obviously, Todd aware of that, pulling back with this probe, also pulling back with that Stalker. Doesn't want to lose to that Marine and Marauder sitting there in the middle. So there's one Sentry out. We've got a second Sentry coming on through, and there are 2 gateways here. So it looks like Todd was planning for that 3-gate expand. However, he will be dealing with that early aggression as mentioned. Looks like it will be fairly Marine heavy, although throwing some Marauders into the mix as well to try to target fire down those Stalkers. And there we go. So this is a precarious situation here for Todd. You know, he's going to be dealing with some crazy early aggression, and Last Shadow, if nothing else, should be pretty well suited to take out this expansion. It really shouldn't be that difficult for him at all. We have got a Robotics coming out. There's also a Proxy Pylon sitting over here. I do just want to check. Yeah, he doesn't know at all about these 3 additional racks sitting over here. So very Marine heavy. Stimpak timing push is what will be happening here for Last Shadow. We can see moving out just with a small force. He's not moving out with the bulk of his army because he just wants to deny any scouting that comes in. He may also try to grab those Xel'Naga towers. It's very popular to see a player push out with a small force to the center Xel'Naga towers, take control of that to deny vision of their large push, and try to make it so that their opponent pretty much isn't aware of what's going on. Expansion just about finished here for Todd. We do have quite a few sentries on the map right now. Those warp gates are finally in, and there's that robotics. I expect that start to be an observer. Yes, with that rally point, looks like that observer will be coming on through, but here comes the stim timing push, moving down with a few SCVs here as well. So very, very heavy, very strong aggression coming on through right now for Last Shadow, and let's see how Todd is able to defend himself. Now keep this in mind, even if Last Shadow takes out this expansion, Todd can safely sit in his main base with this large sentry count. He doesn't know about this push coming right now. Again, lots of Marines and Marauders, and let's see when he does scout it. There we go, SCVs leading the way, Marines and Marauders up the rear. We can see right now probes pulling back into the main, and it looks like Todd will decide to just leave this expansion alone. He's not going to bother trying to defend it. Last Shadow gets the free kill, but he's invested a lot into this. Last Shadow doesn't really have a transition coming on through right now, so all Todd needs to do is drop these force fields. There we go. Drop some force fields, sit in his base for a little while, try to work up his force. The fact that there's so many SCVs here not mining puts Todd ahead of Last Shadow in terms of economy, and we can take a look at that right now. Todd is ahead, so as long as he sits in his main base, keeps these force fields down, Last Shadow is kind of screwed. Yes, he killed off that expansion, but it doesn't matter. He's really thrown a lot into this push, and Todd just has to keep nailing those force fields, and he will be A-okay. Now, we can't see that Robotics Bay is coming on through. There's an additional force field. Really, at this point, nothing that Last Shadow can do about that. He just kind of has to wait around. Now, I would be interested to see if he does decide to come out with a transition, although it doesn't look like he has that plan at all. He's trying to bang his head against this front door. He had a good opportunity to get some vision here. He needs vision to the high ground, try to get out there. Robotics will be trying to target fire down these Marines and Marauders to take them out before. There we go, trying to target fire down that Marauder. No Marauder sneaking away, maintaining vision to the high ground for the rest of those units. There we go, finally gets taken out. A few Marines with the vision to the high ground as well. We'll be pushing forward. Zealots trying to take out a few of those Marines. Last Shadow continuing up this aggression. We do still have quite a few sentries here though, a few Stalkers, and that first Colossus is coming on through, and once that pops, Last Shadow will be in a lot of trouble since he is so Marine heavy. That one Colossus will actually tear through them, so just keep this up. Try to target fire down that, please, for the love of God. Yes, take down take down the SCV, take down that bunker. There we go. One or two more force fields, he should be all set. Get that Colossus in play, start going to town on those Marines, and see you later. Last Shadow is about to get rolled right now. No way he can deal with this Colossus tech. Once more, he had no transition prepared at all. And with just a few force fields, buying himself time to get out that Colossus, Todd has pretty much won the game right now. I don't really see what Last Shadow can do. He is just severely behind right now. Look at those resources lost, 2,000 as opposed to the 1,100 over here. And the biggest reason he's lost is because he's got no transition. At the very least, he could have tried to come out with an expansion and just use this contain to buy himself some time to get up that expansion, get it running, and then try to make up for the loss that he was in, the bad position that he was in pulling forward with so many SCVs. He could have made up for that if he came out with an expansion and just kept this contain rather than continuously trying to push in. But either way, we can see Todd right now will be moving across the map with a counterattack, chasing down one unit over there, though that SCV does manage to get away and getting a few free kills here. Nice force fields going placed down. We've got these two Colossus, and those will just completely tear through these Marines and Marauders. And you know, Last Shadow is going to have a hard time getting up close enough to those Colossus with all these sentries dropping those force fields, and a complete lack of anything about bio. And here we go, Last Shadow going to be throwing everything against this. This is not going to be a good situation at all. We will see some force fields, and the Colossus just go to town on this light army here. Those SCVs getting torn up. The Marines getting torn up as well, stimming up, trying to target fire down, getting the one Colossus, but second Colossus still alive. Still a ton of sentries, a few Zealots in there, and Last Shadow saying you're too good and calling the GG. Last Shadow opted this game for some very early aggressive play, getting that quick stim pack, pumping out a ton of Marines and Marauders, while Todd opened up with a 3-gate expand build. Now, although this certainly puts Last Shadow in a great position to take out this expansion with just Marines and Marauders, it doesn't really allow him to walk up into the main. The stim timing push came at 7:30 with a lot of SCVs to boot. In response, Todd pulled back with his workers, taking the loss of that Nexus. But the big thing here is, even though he lost that expansion, he was pretty much safe inside of his base. He then worked his way up to Colossus tech, and that was a big problem for Last Shadow. Colossus came into play, and that was the end of the push and the end of the game. Alright, so there you go, guys. Todd took this series 2-0. Hopefully you did enjoy this commentary. As always, if you like the content, please subscribe to the channel. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, guys, keep watching and keep owning.